Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. My name is Gina Colvario Krupka, and I am blessed to be here with you today. I am a blessed part of this prayer team here at New Thought Media Network, as well as spiritual director of CSL Greater Boston. And I am blessed to be here with you today. Thank you for being here to find more joy in your journey. We do that every Thursday, and we find new ways to, whether it's going within or practicing something without. And I say without because it's all within, because there is only one. So we find new ways to connect with our joy. It's not something that's out there, it's nothing that we have to buy or achieve. It's simply realized. And we have opportunities to do that in every day and in so many ways that we don't even recognize sometimes. So, this show is about recognizing that divine quality of joy that is always available, but we are not always experiencing it. So, today's guest is someone that has been here with us before, and I'm so grateful to have back with us. She is also a beloved member of our prayer team, and we are here every morning and every evening at 8:15 a.m. and p.m. Mountain Time, depending upon where you are, as well as Monday through Friday at 8:15 a.m. and p.m. for UK time. So we are here to know truth with and for you. And our guest today is Reverend Sharri Johnson. And she's an amazing woman that, never ceases to absolutely, she's just a wonder. She has years of teaching in her background. She is originally from Missouri, but when I met her, she actually had been living in Arkansas for about 4.5 years. 4.5 long years, where she began her beautiful retreat center. And she created and really just flourished online, because we ended up in COVID, unfortunately, the One Heart Retreat Center. That is her passion. And, she is spectacular at creating lemonade, even when all you may have is lemons. She is someone that I look to for inspiration on joy. And that's why I asked her to be here again today. She is also, she led a weekly peace meditation even 10 years before called into ministry. This is her passion. She puts up blogs, she does meditation, she leads our personal visioning at CSL Greater Boston weekly. And she does so much even on the international level. So Reverend Sharri, welcome back, I should say, to Finding the Joy in the Journey. And thank you for being here. And I know your bio alone is like 3 pages long, and there's so much more that I could have said, but I am grateful to have you here with us.
Oh, it's a delight to my heart to be here.
And we are going to talk about some practical tools today. And I'm very excited about that, because as we go through life, the one thing for me anyway is, well, how do I change it? How do I make it better? How do I, it's great that, there's ideas and there's things that we want to do. And who wouldn't want more peace? Who wouldn't want more joy? All of these things are wonderful, but what good is it if we don't know how? So that is what, in general, we're really going to spend some time on today. But the first thing I want to ask you is, how have you been since you've last been here?
Oh, if I was any better, I'd be twins. Something wonderful happens every single day. For instance, a couple of days ago, Saturday, almost a week, I had the grand opening of the One Heart Metaphysical Research Library, which is right here in the bottom floor of my townhouse, and has well over 1,000 books. and is available to every minister, practitioner, and student who wants to make an appointment to come and research there.
So anybody coming through Kansas City needs to look you up and absolutely come and visit.
Absolutely. I don't mind driving people to come and see me. Look, I got books.
And you actually have quite a few that are some older, original, things that back in the days of Ernest Holmes himself.
Not only do I have books from the days of Ernest Holmes himself, I have CD recordings of his radio shows. And a CD player to listen to them with headphones.
Oh, that'd be something. That alone could be a weekly special. That alone could be a weekly special. Just hearing these again, because actually, I've only listened to one or two of them. But actually hearing, the words from his mouth, not just reading them on paper, there's got to be a wonderful feeling in that.
Well, the interesting thing to me is once I've heard the recordings, then when I read his writings, I heard him talking. Yeah. When you know the voice of the person who wrote it, that's what you hear.
It is, and that's a wonderful thing too. And what else have you been up to there in Arkansas? I know it's pretty warm there in Missouri.
It's way past warm. We passed warm in May. Okay. We cranked up to hot before we ever hit June. It was 91 degrees at 9:00 at night last night. So yeah, the sun was still out at 8:30. So I guess that's why it was still so hot. But it's been really warm. But I've been busy. I've joined a group that in Kansas City that does food for the homeless on the second Sunday of every month. So I have an apron that hangs in the church kitchen now. I've joined the Greater Kansas City Interfaith Council, because how can we say there's only one of us and not be involved in interfaith activities? I mean, we've had the CSL Center in Kansas City for the month of July had a really interesting thing. It was Interfaith Month, and so they had a different speaker from the Interfaith Council come and speak about a different faith tradition every Sunday. And what I found interesting was that the speakers would talk about what they believed and how that was different from what other people believed. But what I heard was, this is how we're the same, and this is how we're the same, and this is how we're the same. And it was just wonderful.
It really is amazing if what you look for is what you get. If you're looking for differences, you'll find them. And if you're looking for the similarities, you'll find them. It's all a question of what we set our sights on, just like the law of attraction. It's all the same. So I also want to give a shout out to interfaith councils, because they are a wonderful thing. To me, one of the best parts of what we do in New Thought is that we're all encompassing. We invite everybody. And, I love the analogy of the mountaintop. And it doesn't matter how you get to the mountaintop. It doesn't matter what side, what path. The fact that you're climbing and you're on the mountain is a beautiful thing. To me, and it's not about a problem, but it's sad to me to think of people that don't even realize there's a mountain, that don't realize that there is an infinite potential within them to commune with that spirit that is that allness. And, it's all choice, and we get free will, but it seems so, I don't want to say empty, but lonely to think about being in it all alone.
Well, and I think we tend sometimes, those of us who are not in that lonely place, tend to forget that when we say there's only one of us here, there's only one life, that's true. There's only one mind, that's true. There's only one love, that's true. But there are an infinite number of personalities.
That there are.
Characteristics and interests and fascinations. And I like the analogy of the prism. The most common metaphor for God across the planet is white light. And if you shine white light through a prism, what comes out the other side is it's been broken down into every wavelength there is, including the colors we can't see with the human eye. And that's what I think God is, and the path to recognizing oneness is. And so every one of those colors represents a tradition that is necessary for somebody. And if you took one of them away, just the tiniest little wavelength away, then not only would that color disappear, but so would all of the white light, because every one of them is a necessary component of that white light.
There's no way that there can be something missing in spirit. Isn't it a gift to realize that no matter who, what, where, when, it's all spirit? And to me, there is such a power in that. And, you know, there's no judgment. It's not to each their own. I happen to be married to someone who is as opposite as they come. So as much faith as I have, not so much on the other side. And, we coexist very well. He respects my faith. And, I pray for him. So it's one of the, and it's, each person has their own path and their own, their own beliefs. And as long as they're working for you, that's wonderful. As long as they lift you and you're getting what you need from where you are spiritually, wonderful. And we can always add to it. And it can always feel better. And we can always lift, because as we lift ourselves, we bring everyone and everything up with us.
Yep.
So I am going to talk to you about spiritual practices, because I know you have many, and I would love for you to share with us, what is your daily spiritual practice like?
Well, first, when I get up, I make the bed, I put on my robe, and I take my dogs for a walk. And then I come in and I give them each their treat, and I go to my prayer room. And in my prayer room, I have candles, I have incense, I have chimes, and I have books. And I have a bookcase beside the rocking chair in my prayer room, and there are books that are created for people to read every day, like 365 Science of Mind from Ernest Holmes. And I have a bunch of those, 4 or 5 of them, from different traditions and different. One of them is from Sarah Ben Brethnack, called Everyday Moments, I think. And it's a daily reader for women. So I read through them, and I always read the Science of Mind magazine daily guides and the Unity's Daily Word. I've been reading Unity's Daily Word for 45 years. And both of those books and the 365 Science of Mind have one thing in common, and that is if I'm feeling fried, which, we all do that. Now and then we feel fried. I can pick any one of them up, open it without looking, and find exactly what I need in front of me every single time. When I'm done with all my reading. I skipped one. Before I read, I do 15 minutes of a focused meditation for Ukraine. Actually, it's a Ho'oponopono meditation for Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. And then I do the reading. And then I do a Buddhist meditation.
Before you move on from that, I would love for you to share what that is and why you do it.
And I do it because when the war in Ukraine started, I had one of those moments of, oh my God, this is outside my control. There's nothing I can do, and I can't stand it. And then I remembered the story about Ho'oponopono. There was a psychologist in the prison system in Hawaii, and he was working with criminally insane prisoners. And so he decided that if it's true that there's only one mind, that there's only one life, that there's only one love, that he should be able to lift the burden off of them onto himself. And he did it with the Ho'oponopono practice, which is 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Over and over and over again. And many of those prisoners ended up in the general population. They didn't get released from prison entirely, but they were released from the mental institutions where they were kept in close confinement. So what I do in the morning is I set my timer for 15 minutes and I close my eyes and I visualize as much as is possible the oneness that is shared between me and Vladimir Putin and all of the people in Ukraine and all of the people in the armies, everybody. And I do the Ho'oponopono for 15 minutes in that visualization.
I love the practice, and I also love that story because that particular warden, one of the things they couldn't believe was, the amount of the violence, how quickly it went down within and they couldn't believe too. It wasn't the warden, it was actually the psychologist within and they couldn't figure out, but he never saw the patients.
He only looked at their files.
He never actually was speaking or working with the prisoners. He just knew and he held that center, and it changed. Everything changed.
Everything changed.
Because that's what it's all about. Consciousness is all there is.
Well,
literally the wavelength. Excuse me?
Ernest Holmes said, treat and move your feet.
So in that knowing of consciousness, let's move on to the next after your.
So then after the meditation, the Ho'oponopono and the reading, then I do a Buddhist metta blessing, which is, I do it 7 times because the Buddha said you can't give anything you don't have. So you have to start with yourself and work your way. So I do it for myself, for those I love, for those I need to love, for those who need to love, for all people, for all beings, for all life. And it's just, may I be happy.
Can you repeat that for me again, those 7?
Myself, those I love, those I need to love, those who need to love, all people, all beings, all life.
Beautiful.
And the blessing is, may I be happy. May I be free from suffering and its causes. May I be filled with loving kindness. This is my favorite. May I know my true nature and be at peace. So that's may I, may they, may he, may all go around. And then when that's done, I'm also a Reiki master. So I do a distant healing, Reiki healing for the planet Earth. And then I go have breakfast.
How long do your practices usually take you?
Well, it takes a little more than an hour. Because, I didn't mention the prayers I say before I get out of the bed. Because when I wake up, it's an amazing thing. But, and I gave this assignment when I spoke at Greater Boston. I gave this assignment. I said, set the intention to wake up conscious in the morning. And so I set the intention to wake up conscious and smiling. And I wake up smiling, and the first thought in my mind, the first conscious thought is, good morning, God. Thank you for this glorious day. And so I do a little, I do some thank you stuff before I get up and until the puppy licks get to me. And then I know it's time to take them out, and I get up, take them out, do the formal practice.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And, I know for me, when I first started in our teachings, that would have been like, you spend an hour every morning. And the irony is that now everything is different. Everything is perspective. And, it's like putting the rudders forward. It gives the opportunity to be in the right direction. It stabilizes and really just gets everything prepared for the day. There's
And when I have breakfast, I have a little book stand on my kitchen table, and I read something like for fun, like Norm Bouchard's 29 Questions, because it makes me laugh. It's spiritual stuff, but it makes me laugh. And I believe God has a sense of humor, or else camels wouldn't have their front knees on backwards and avocados wouldn't be more pit than fruit. But I also have a journal beside my placemat on my table, and it's my gratitude journal. And I have to write down 10 things I'm grateful for to start my day.
And it's not for everyone. Everybody doesn't have to have all of these practices. We're just giving some examples of different things that can be done. I'm blessed to be part of a prayer call. Although I am in Greater Boston, I originally I matriculated, I guess you would say, from CSL, from Concordia CSL in Rhode Island. That's where I started out. And, I'm still part of that community. I am still, I still love being part of. And there's a morning call that started during COVID. And, feel free, anybody that has a center or wants to think about how can I stay close with my group, because these are, to me, our community, our spiritual community is a second family, without a doubt. And this started as a practice as soon as COVID started, and it's continued since. And it's an hour of power. Reverend Allen actually had come up with this, and it begins with meditation. It's 15 minutes of meditation, guided meditation, slightly guided meditation. And then it's 15 minutes of visioning, 10 to 15 minutes. Very simple. Simple, not all of the questions, just simply what's for today. And isn't it a wonderful thought to ask, what would Spirit choose for me today? How's that for a novel concept? Not what do I want and how do I get it, but what is Spirit's greatest idea of my day? Beautiful. Or what do I need to know? Those type of questions. And that's the first half hour. And then the second half hour is community. It is, the entire hour is led by a different practitioner every day, or Reverend Allen. And it's been what a gift. The second half hour is the reading of Science of Mind magazine, page of the day. And then everyone goes around, if there's words on that, or, what am I grateful for? And what is my prayer request?
It's like you have a whole
of power. And the group goes around and people say either what hit them on the reading, or what are we grateful for, and then it ends, what are my prayer requests. So whatever's going on and whoever I want to pray for, I have my community right there every Monday through Friday. So what a gift it is. And then it ends with treatment, like the cherry on top. And and whoever's leading the call leads this, and then of course opens up for round robin during, we can all put a few words in there. So what a gift it is in 1 hour to be able to use our spiritual tools and to really be in this place of community and grounded. And
it's like spiritual calisthenics to start the day.
It is spiritual calisthenics. I love that. It truly is. And we get the opportunity to figure out what works for us. Just like some people drink coffee in the morning before they can get started. There are people that get up. My husband gets up and rolls out of bed and into the car within 10 to 15 minutes. I could never do it. I could never function that way, but that's what he does. So whoever you are and whatever works for you, you get to choose. But these spiritual tools are opportunities, because when we are centered, and centered is I think of when I really think of centering, I never knew what it meant. I couldn't. My concept of peace was very blurry for most of my life. We'll put it that way. I grew up in inner city Boston, and I had no concept of what that really meant. It wasn't until I went to college that I ever slept in silence. If nothing else, I had the radio going. I didn't know how to be quiet, to be in the stillness. So the thought of meditation scared the crap out of me when I first started with all this. And that's part of why I have the peace circle. How do you be the change when you don't know what it is?
Well, I spent 30 years thinking I couldn't meditate because every book, every tape, every class says, okay, the first thing you do is still your mind. And I said, hold it right there. That's not a single step. That's a multi-phase algorithm, and I need to know what the plan is. How do you do that? And finally, after about 30 years, I found a book by Eknath Eswaran that had not one but two different methods for stilling the mind.
Can you tell us, what is that book?
I can't remember, and it's in my prayer room. But it's by Eknath Eswaran, and it's a daily reader. But it starts out with a description of how to still your mind for meditation. One of them is you visualize that you're standing at the top of a set of stone stairs in a castle, and you just walk down the stairs one step at a time. And a little calmer, and it worked. The problem is these little tricky things only work once. And after that it did, but it worked once, and that proved to me that it was possible. And then I discovered kinetic meditation, and the top came off. As Ernest Holmes said, we must remain open at the top.
For me, I think of peace as the difference between trying to deal with, whatever comes at you at the top of the ocean versus at the bottom. There's a whole lot of turbulence at the top. There are people that are, there are boats, there are fish, there's everything, and there's all kinds of stuff up there that is making waves, that is causing, causing friction or causing things to be turbulent. But at the center, in the bottom of the ocean, there's nothing. It is still. It is peaceful. It is quiet. There's nothing that moves that it's going to move you. That's what being centered is to me. It's being so steady that I can witness without being disturbed. And I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to get to all the time, but at least I have the concept of what it is, and I can visit it on occasion.
Well, sometimes you can only tip your toe in the bottom of the ocean, but you know it's there, and just getting your toe down there reminds you that it's possible.
Yes.
And sometimes that's enough, when you're in a crisis situation, just remembering at the bottom of the ocean is there is enough.
And I also look at it as that's what's real. It's not the splashing. Those are distractions. What's real, spirit is all there is. So the ocean wouldn't exist without the floor. Something is the container. Spirit is the container. So regardless of whether I'm witnessing the splashing or the stillness, that's my viewpoint. So it's so important to know that and this is coming from someone who 3 minutes with an egg timer was excruciating when I started meditation. I kept looking saying, this thing has got to be broken. And now, and I'm going to tell people you can't get it wrong. I want people, if you're not someone that meditates regularly, for me, I always set a timer because otherwise I often fall asleep. But if I hear a very soft bell to bring me out and I am refreshed, then clearly I wasn't asleep.
Right.
So whatever works for you, you practice. That's why they're practices. There's no wrong. And I want to just put up a visual because they help me. These are some spiritual tools that I want to put out there to let people know these are all things that have helped me personally. And they're things that we don't always look at as practices. Is there anything that's jumping out at you that you use often?
Well, yeah, sacred service. My favorite Sunday is the second Sunday of the month because after church, I go in the kitchen, I put on my apron, and we cook food for the homeless, and then we box it up and we carry it to a city park and we distribute it. That's a long 3-hour prayer.
Yeah. And there's so much in gifts for that to me. I mean, when you think about being in sacred service, gives us the opportunity to give from the overflow, to know that I have so much that I can share, that there's something within me that I have to offer you for no other reason except that we are one. And I think it's important that we remember it is meant to be the overflow. Because too often we give from our source and we exhaust ourselves. I don't know if you're anything like me.
You can't exhaust your source, Gina.
But when we
You
give
don't
from
exhaust the
ego,
part you thought you saw.
when we give from that place of ego or the would, could, should,
Yeah.
that's where we get tired.
I'll do it.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say that this is, for me, sacred service is because I just can't stand not to anymore. Because I have to share. That's how the Spirit Online Directory happened. So I just couldn't not have it. I couldn't not share it. I couldn't not be it. And I figured I wasn't the only one.
And it's a wonderful, we each have things that call to us and some that won't. I love visioning. And I love it so much that my passion for it has spread to my community because people that never liked it before, they enjoy the process now because I'm excited about it. And that's, we get to share what we're excited about, whatever that may be, we get that opportunity. And life is so distracting. There's so much splashing, in life. And we get the opportunity to center ourselves and realize, well, first, and asking, what is mine to do? Because there's a lot of things we could, but is it mine to do? If you have children, especially adult children, you know that all too well.
Oh, that's when you wear pockets to vision so that you can keep your hands to yourself.
These tools give us the opportunity to live differently. And that's our viewpoint on life is what gives us the life that we have. The reading, there's one of the readings in Science Mind magazine from a couple of days ago that was talking about that it's not, Reverend Ken Gordon is actually he's doing the readings this month. And Tuesday's reading actually was about doing that he didn't realize he was poor growing up. But as time went on, he became a little bitter that he didn't have what everybody else had. But then again, as he got older, he realized he had more than everyone else had. He had an upbringing that was perfect and wonderful and gave him so much more than most people ever get the opportunity, because he was raised with love and taught how to live in the land and taught the abundance of our earth, where most people never get that opportunity. And his perspective on what seemed to be lacking was gone. But yet in the early days, he didn't think anything was lacking. He thought it was great. until someone in the outside splashing has something different. Did that strike you as well?
It did. I am a big Ken Gordon fan anyway. When I was paneling for my practitioner license, he walked into the room and I had no idea who he was. And he walked into the room and he made a circle and he said, "Hi, my name is Ken Gordon and I'm a CSL practitioner." He was the spiritual leader of the whole organization at the moment, but all that mattered was that he was a CSL, Science of Mind practitioner. And my heart was just hooked right then. And like I said, when you know the voice, you hear the voice when you're reading, and I do. I read those and I smile, and it's like he's hugging me. I haven't forgot you there. Here's where I came from and how I got here. Wonderful, wonderful stuff.
So we get a lot of different types of opportunities. And some will resonate for us and some won't. There's some things that are just not me. I know there's a lot of people that walk labyrinths and get so much from it. I personally, I'm not, sometimes I'm a little embarrassed to admit it. I've walked a couple of them and I just didn't feel what other people feel.
And I'd rather walk a labyrinth than any other kind of meditation, but you'll never get me to walk the Camino Real.
Actually, Reverend David Alt was on a couple of weeks ago. He's walking it right now. But when it came to the labyrinth, I just didn't. I don't feel it, and maybe one day I will. But I can go to the ocean, and just be overwhelmed. So you don't have to have the same thing that I have, or we don't have to agree on anything at all. But the blessing of spiritual practices is that there are many, and that they all work in different ways for different people.
And they can all be customized.
Excuse me?
They can all be customized, personalized.
Exactly. So
you can take it and fold it and massage it and move it around until it fits your spirit, and that works.
There's, for example, walking meditation. You don't have to close your eyes and be on a pillow for a meditation to be that. You can go for a walk in nature, and that is absolutely as therapeutic as anything can be. Meditation can be in all forms.
I had a meditation, went to a retreat once, and the retreat leader had us do a walking meditation, and we weren't allowed to come back until we had hugged a tree. Which was no problem for me because I love trees. But, some people had a little challenge getting used to wrapping their heads around that, But the wonderful thing about spiritual practice is that meditation doesn't have to be something you do separately. When I lived in Kansas, we had a huge yard and I was in charge of mowing it. And mowing it was a walking meditation. I put my little headphones in. I spiraled from the outer edge into the center of the yard. And for an hour, I meditated. No effort involved. I was on autopilot physically and mentally, and spiritually, I was lapping it up. You should pardon the pun.
And I also encourage people to realize you can pray and you can meditate with your eyes open. It was very freeing for me when Reverend Ian was my instructor. When he actually said that, I'm like, oh, really? It's okay? I'm not doing it wrong? Because when I am, especially during treatment sometimes, I am excited and my eyes are open with enthusiasm. So to force myself to close them because it's someone else's comfort isn't the answer for me. It's important to know that you cannot get it wrong. The only wrong, and it's not even wrong, is not doing it. It's a question of what works for you. But it can't work if you don't try.
And sometimes you need to try it 2 or 3 times, not in a row. But, if I had given up, after 30 years, I still wouldn't know the beauties of meditation. Because if I had given up on meditation altogether, I would have never learned about mandalas and labyrinths and walking meditations and all of that. I would have never, lying out in the grass looking at the stars at night is meditation.
Yes.
It's observing the infinity of God and the abundance. Because the longer you look, the more stars there appear to be.
And another one that I have on there that I wanted to put a shout out to is prayer partners. There's a difference between having a friend and a prayer partner. Although, usually if you have a prayer partner, they are also your friend and even family.
True.
There's something different about having someone that every day you have that ritual of connecting in prayer. It is a beautiful gift. It helps center each other, and you get to know each other. It's like a sister or a brother. It's a very different kind of relationship, and it also they know our stuff, so we're not BSing anybody, and I think that that's important as well, to really be in a place of understanding and being understood, even if we say nothing at all.
Yep. I have several prayer partners. One has been my prayer partner for 16 years. And every Sunday at church, he introduces me to somebody as his 15 plus years prayer partner. Because he's just bowled over because he didn't realize it had been that long until I moved home. Because even when I didn't live here, we were still prayer partners. We met once a week for an hour, and it's marvelous. I call him my brother from another mother, and I'm his sister from another mister.
And it's such a gift because you hold each other in a way, and uplift each other and know each other. And it is a gift. So, I personally, it's Monday through Friday that I just speak with someone, and it is a gift. So these are things that you don't have to do, but they're all wonderful tools that we can do. Daily affirmations. Those are a wonderful tool. Speaking in the affirmative. And I know you were saying that you give out a ton of mirrors. Tell people about that.
I've given away hundreds of little mirrors about this big, and it's an assignment. And sometimes when I can find them, for not terribly expensive, I get the ones that are little compacts because they don't have sharp edges on them. But the assignment is you have to carry this around with you for the next 3 weeks. And every day you have to take it out of your pocket at least 3 times, look yourself straight in the eye and say, God loves you. So do I. And then you can go back to whatever you were doing. Now, the first 2 or 3 times, that's really hard to do.
Well, it depends on the person. There's some people, I use them for workshops.
Yeah.
I became familiar with it with Louise Hay. You can heal your life is what really brought me into it. And I love her work and I love the practice. And I've worked with people who could not do it. That it took them, it was painful. They were in tears the minute they tried. And it took a long time for them. But that tells us where we're standing, where our relationship with ourselves is, when just looking in the mirror brings tears.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work around forgiveness. And the one that I needed to forgive the most has always been myself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we
hold ourselves to a much higher standard than we hold anybody else.
Absolutely. And we all of this these are choices. These are gifts that we give ourselves. Even journaling, like you were talking about, yes, writing down what you're grateful for. It's also
journaling. I can't do regular journaling.
Now journaling to me can be very healing. I go on, sometimes if you're let me tell you, if you're in the middle of the night and your mind is spinning and spinning and spinning, A friend of mine calls it rotisserie head. When you're in that place where it just keeps spinning, get up, write a couple of pages in your journal, just automatic writing, just let flow, whatever needs to, and I bet you go right to sleep. Because the whole thing for me, it really has worked for me many times, because what happens is it's almost like I keep playing it as if I'm going to forget it. So I write it down and I look at it as giving it to spirit. I let it go, even if it's just for a few hours. I let it go and I give it. And on the same note as that is, and I sleep, I fall right to sleep, because now I'm not repeating those thoughts. I don't have to. They're on paper, they're waiting for me. Most of them are crap and I never think of it again because I've given it to spirit. And there's also, you can write it down, and I love the idea of a God can, where you have a can or a jar or a box or whatever it may be. But I love the can analogy, because you just you decorate it however you want, and whatever's going on, you get your little Post-it together. Whatever's going on, you put it right in there in your God can, because God can. And then it's the trick with that is not trying to take it back.
I have a friend who's a metaphysical minister in North Carolina. We've been friends for 30 years. And she had, and I haven't seen her in 25, she had a little white magnet board on her refrigerator. And there was a line right down the middle of it. And on the left-hand side, it said, "My list for today." And on the right-hand side, it said, "God's list for today." And every morning she would get up and she would write her list. These are the things I need to do today. And when she finished one of them, she would cross it off and she would write it on the God side. And then before she went to bed every night, she would wipe off her list, and then she would say, "Look, everything God had on his list got done today. God's whole list got taken care of today." And then she would wipe that off and she would go to bed. I love it because it reminds you that there really is only one mind. And there's no way we can actually do something that is against our best interest. It might be against our easiest comfort. But we're going to learn something from anything.
Yes.
That makes us more and bigger and better than we were before.
There is no wrong. And that's one of the gifts of our teaching, is that you can't get it wrong. You cannot do it, which pauses us wherever we are. But, there's no wrong in the sense of. And one thing that I consider a spiritual tool, and I'm going to put this up, and we certainly don't have time to go into it, but I just wanted to mention that one of the greatest spiritual tools we have is self-care. And these are some ideas, things that we can do that, these are options that we always have to take care of ourselves. So we can ask for help, spend time alone, put yourself first, ask for what you need, setting boundaries, stay at home when you need to, saying no because it's a complete sentence, forgiving yourself, and taking a step back.
This is the single most important spiritual practice there is. And it is also the most personal, most individualized, most arrange it however you want it spiritual practice that there is. But without this one, none of the others work.
And I just wanted to put that up there because the hour is flying by, yes. and it always does. And I wanted to let people know that you have so much on your website. I encourage people to go to oneheartretreatcenter.org, and you have a Spirit Online directory. And I want to show people this amazing directory. This is what that page looks like. Again, this is the online directory, and I'm going to just scroll down a little bit, and you can see that there are different things. And can you explain what this is?
Those blue buttons take you to pages where the first one is for online classes and gatherings. They could be classes about a book, or during COVID, there were a lot of, we're going to meet at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday just to touch bases, those kinds of things. Online meditations, mostly practitioners, but not only. There are a lot of meditation apps available for free that you can download onto your smartphone. The online religious science practitioner services, downloadable apps, blogs, podcasts, and videos. Focus ministries. Focus ministers are ministers who don't have a pulpit. They do, like me, they have a different kind of ministry that serves all kinds of people, but doesn't have a building. Well, I have the library now, but you get the idea. There's a description of all the focus ministers that I've got information about and how to reach them. For the practitioner services, how to reach them. For the meditations, how to reach them. It's all there. This page, the landing page, is Sunday and Wednesday services. There are 57, I believe, centers on that list right now. And what you see in green is a link that you can click to go directly to their live stream service. And it tells you what time. They're separated by time zone, and within time zone by time slot, and within time slot they're alphabetical by center name. And there are CSL centers and Unity centers, and one that's not either one, but it's New Thought, and I can't remember what it's called right now. But those are all there.
I just want to make sure people know that anyone you can send you the information. People, it's free, and anyone that knows of anything that's not up there can send you information, and it can be listed.
Any spiritual practice that is available online, whether the person who's offering it charges for it or not, if it's available online, I will advertise it for free on the Spirit Online directory. All you have to do is send me contact information, the name, a picture if you have one, and a link for people to click.
So this is a wonderful opportunity to really thank you for all the work that you put into this, and know that it is appreciated. And people can go online and they can look at different classes that are available. And the beauty of, especially as tough as it was to go through the whole time of COVID, a lot of centers put their classes and different things. There's different opportunities, whether they be conferences and workshops and book study groups. There's so much opportunity online now. So wherever you are, and I mean, just on New Thought alone, New Thought Media Network, we have, I want to say, 6 different services that we host every week. Sunday is very busy here, including 5 p.m. Eastern time is Greater Boston service, but there's a bunch of them all day long, and I believe Monday evening there's another one that there's a weekly service. So we have all kinds of stuff that is available here. So it's just remembering that whatever you're looking for, the key is to look for what's going to lift you up. We are here to talk about joy, and spirituality is one of the greatest and fastest ways to finding that joy. I love the picture that's behind us, because to me, that light is truly what it's all about. It's that light that comes from within. That stardust that's behind us, that spirit, and it's within each one, and it comes forth from each one.
And I have to tell you my acronym for joy, and if you take our pictures out so that people can see it, it stands for Just Open Yourself.
Can you repeat that again?
Just open yourself, like the hand.
Just open yourself. How wonderful is that? And here we go back. But it's a wonderful gift for us to be able to choose consciously. And all that is practice. So I encourage people to be in the practice of finding your practices. And it's not about, and I encourage you to, you're going to do it wrong. Many, many, many times. You'll forget, you'll skip, go back. There is no, just start again. Wherever you are, start again. I have a Dave's book. Excuse me?
Where prayer practice is concerned, we have an infinite mulligan.
I love that. I have a book that's a gratitude book, and it actually has a space for years. Like it's, I want to say, like 3 or 4 years in a row. It gives a quote, and what does that quote mean to you? And it's meant to be different years that you write in it. And sometimes I look at a page and there's one, and sometimes I look at a page and there's 3, and it shows me how imperfect I am. And I've learned to laugh at that, because the gift is I'm still looking at it. So whatever it is, anything that I do, I know adds to life. And I encourage you to find your practices that add to your joy, that center you enough to be in that peace, that the splashing of the daily stuff doesn't sway you. Centered in that truth, in that light and joy of spirit. Knowing that you are that stardust. And if you can let people know where you're going to be, you have a couple, in addition to the classes that you are teaching,
you have
a few coming up, you have a newsletter that people can sign up on your website. And you also, what I love too, is your weekly world peace meditations. So people can sign up for those as well. So
there's a written one on Wednesday, and there's a live one on Thursday.
So I encourage people to take a look at your website, and I thank you for all of the light and peace that you shine in the world. And I also know you're going to be on the Peace Circle with me this coming Monday evening, and we'll be in that. Instead of just joy, we'll be talking about the peace that goes along with that.
Peace is
And you're going to be, I know you're going to Celebrating Our Souls. You said it's a New Thought conference at Unity Village that you're going to be volunteering at. When is that?
That is the 11th through the 15th of August. And then in September, I'll be at the Anton Associated New Thought Network annual retreat, also at Unity Village, which is nice because it's only about 10 minutes from where I live. And I'm going to be doing a workshop on kinetic meditation.
Mandalas. How exciting. So I encourage people to take a look at that as well. And I thank you for being here. And, I am grateful to have teachers like you that have helped me to be more centered in and not take it too seriously. Sometimes, especially spirituality is supposed to be light and loving, and it can get into the would, could, shoulds. Everything should be fun and easy, or it's not spirit. So I encourage people to really be in that light, be in that love, and celebrate their joy. And I wish you all a beautiful week. And I thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you, Reverend Sharri, for being here with us and helping with that. And I celebrate each one of you as we step into this beautiful vista called life and put this into practice. So as you're finding your joy, namaste.